Because if they think I'm going to use my gas to drop off their stuff at my own will, when I just had to use my own tape to package up the box because they were too cheap to send the resealable box like they use at... What up, everybody? Welcome to Mind Tide, where we talk personal finance and tech. I'm your host, Kyle, and if you've read the title of this video, then you already know I'm going to talk about me losing my job. Shout out to COVID-19. But more specifically, I'm going to talk about my experience with my first termination and how to be well prepared for a termination and why I'm so excited about moving forward. So don't change that dial. That needs to be updated. Termination. I get a meeting notice that reads, touch point from my supervisor's boss's boss. It's for Friday morning. Peculiar, you might ask? Oshkosh, but gosh darn right it is. The missus seems to think otherwise because also recently was the boss 3 times removed my direct supervisor. But you don't know that. Alright, that's enough of that. May 1st, 2020 was my termination date. Thus, May 1st is the last day of pay that I will receive from... I'm not actually going to say their name because I'm not that type of person to publicly bash any entity after a separation. Actually, I am. I'm playing. But I'm still not going to because I signed a non-disparagement clause in my termination documentation, so they shall remain nameless because I read everything. So in addition to everything I've already said, here are a few more things where they got me messed up during this process. First, you don't get any notice from an employer when they're going to terminate you, but it's appropriate for an employee to give 2 weeks notice when they quit? They're providing me with 3 months of outplacement services on the company's dime, but why can't I have the option to select if I want that or if I want the funds just given to me in my separation pay? How you gonna reduce base salaries to 80% of previous agreements to then terminate your workforce under a month later? That's just masterful. I couldn't even have come up with that one on my own. So the last picture that I want to paint. So I'm working from home, right? Meaning I have to bring company equipment home. I have the meeting on Friday. I received 2 FedEx boxes on Monday with return labels and bubble wrap inside. Obviously, I know that I'm supposed to put the items inside that box and label them and have them sent back. But here's the problem. There were no instructions on how to get FedEx to come back and pick up the boxes. So I messaged homegirl in HR. There were no instructions on how to get FedEx to come back and pick up the boxes. Because if they think I'm going to use my gas to drop off their stuff at my own will, when I just had to use my own tape to package up the box because they were too cheap to send the resealable box like they use at the USPS store up the road, then they are out they rabbit mind. You understand me? I mean, I end up doing it anyway because I'm weak. And I wouldn't have received that severance paycheck that was promised to me, and just off of principle, it wasn't worth it. And for that whack computer, nah, bro. But honestly, I have no animosity towards the company. In fact, when I joined the meeting and saw the HR rep also on the call, I immediately recognized what was happening and began to feel a weight lifted off my shoulders. I didn't have any fulfillment in what I was doing, which drove me to pursue other creative passions. And the more I do those, I slowly piece together the puzzle of what it is I'm trying to do with my life. Despite the 20 years of brainwashing that a corporate job is the way, it's okay if that's not true. This process has been another confirmation of what I thought I knew, that this life, this corporate life, is not for me. Additionally, I have the freedom now to pursue the things that I've been planning for past couple years. And another thing that it shows me, even if you think or fully know that your boss or your supervisor really cares about you, when it comes between you and the company's bottom line is going to be chosen no matter what. So I'd rather be ahead of that. So being prepared for losing your job. Before beginning my career, I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do long term. I chose it because one, I went to school for it, and two, since I went to school for it on someone else's dime, I had debt to pay back. It was always considered to be just a stepping stone to give me the financial freedom to springboard my real career, which was to professionally use my words creatively. Ergo, each job I had, I went into it knowing I was prepared to quit. For me to be a corporate desk jockey, even for 5 years, wasn't actually in my psyche, but it makes sense that it happened that way because I didn't actually have a tangible plan. But what I did do semi-well was plan for future Kyle's living expenses to be low. What I realized early on is that I didn't know anybody who loved their job or even liked their job enough that they would continue to do it, even sparingly, if they were to hit the lottery. So naturally, my question was, why? But it's pretty simple, really. A lot of people set their lives up at this comfort level, and in order to maintain that, they need to maintain this level of income. Yes, the income is lower than the comfort level because, let's face it, most people are living outside of their means. I vowed that that would not be me. I had too many things that I wanted to accomplish, so following in the footsteps of my peers was null and void. Keeping expenses low was my first goal. Second was to have a significant emergency fund saved. I can't stress that enough. I learned that mistake in the transition from my first job to my second job. At the beginning of March, my wife and I had about 3 months of living expenses saved. Then we got our bonuses. Then that Rona hit. And knowing the sensitivity of my employment, we had the foresight to pocket all that money and put it in our emergency fund so that we could have up to 6 months of savings. We were able to build that even more in the month of April and are so thankful that we did because it freed us to not have that mental strain of what now? We'll be all right for a while. Oh, and unemployment helps a lot. But moving forward, let's backtrack. My entire professional career, I've worked in the automotive industry. I've held 2 different positions with 2 different companies, and I wasn't particularly great at either one, although the latter was abysmal. In the workplace and in the schoolhouse, I always struggled. Not in the sense that I wasn't capable, because I was always encouraged that I should be this, but I always saw myself as this. I've always taken that as that's just what adults are supposed to tell kids, but now I'm able to ask, maybe that wasn't for everybody. Maybe I am unique. But now as an adult, the scope of my capabilities is broadening, but I still see myself as that timid kid that can't do the mundane. All my life I've been in environments where my weaknesses are challenged, and I've done pretty well for myself in that. But in my spare time, I've challenged my strengths and have enjoyed it, so I want to do that more. I, like everybody else, want to be in an environment where I can thrive and not just get by. I ask myself, if you've made it this far off of your weaknesses and disinterests, then what could you accomplish with your strengths and attentiveness? So, I'm starting a business. That's right, I'm planning to carve my own path and be my own boss. What that means for you is that you'll be seeing a lot more of me on YouTube, and that's where I'm gonna leave it because I'd rather show you than tell you. YouTube wasn't an initial dream of mine, but I'm able to adapt to see that it actually checks a lot of boxes for me to begin a business that's for the people. I don't know what to call this phase, but I'm elated to know that I get to build something with a community around me. And even more excited to know that I don't need to fear the next steps because every move I've made creatively thus far, God has provided a new path that I never would have planned myself. Note that I did not say that it's not nerve-wracking, because it is, but I'm super excited to see what happens next. So now to wrap all this up, shout out to all my first-time terminations out there. It's not the end of the road, it's just the end of that one. It's up to you what path you decide from here. So I've explained all my process and thinking and why I'm excited going forward, but I do not want to minimize the suck of losing one's job. Even in my case of having everything that I wanted to accomplish be outside of my job, it still sucks to hear in some form or another, we don't want you. But I'm calling it right now. Mark my words, as of May 1st, 2020, Kyle has worked his last day in corporate America. So you might want to get on this train now because it's full steam ahead from here. This is Mon Todd, and I'm Kyle. Deuces.
Is the elephant heavy? I'm coming back, baby.